What's the sluttiest thing you've done? When I was working at Renaissance Fair, F24, 18 back then, I had to flirt a lot to make sales. I was flirting with this lady, 25-ish, and she said she would buy something from me for a kiss. I leaned over the counter and kissed her. She then bought $600 worth of pewter. Each thing was $150 to $300 from me. When I was in high school, I slept with 4 guys who were all brothers within a month or so. I would routinely hang out with one of them. The last time it slept with one, he said so. Had you slept with my brothers? Never again. They have a sister I never got with, unfortunately. My family, including my ex, went on a driving trip to a city that was like 3 hours away. My Catholic family went to see mass at this giant touristy church, and my ex and I decided to go wait in his car in the church parking lot. Out of boredom, we decided to do it doggy style on the back seats while it poured rain outside. My family showed up 5 minutes later. On a road trip, matched with a girl on Tinder. Stopped by her place and banged it out while my buddy waited in the car. I gave the panties I was wearing to some dudes who asked for them at a club. They said they were having a bachelor party. Like right in the middle of the dance floor. My sister said, "Sorry, wearing pants I can't. You're wearing a skirt, give them yours." So I shrugged and dropped trow. Then she's like, "Holy balls, I thought you'd go to the bathroom to take them off." For 5 minutes I was every own slutty hero. I was at a bar one night and met 2 ladies who turned out to be cousins, no relation to me. For clarity's sake, cousin #1 pulls me outside of the bar to start making out and starts attempting to give me a hickey. Yes, I know that is super trashy. Cousin #2 comes out, breaks it up, and tells me I need to stop with #1 because she is hotter and is way better in bed. We all continue drinking for another hour, and I end up taking cousin #2 to a nearby hotel for the nightcap. In the morning, I had to drop her back off at #1's house to get her car. As #2 drives off, #1 waves at me from the front door to come in. After an awkward hello, she told me she wasn't going to lose to her cousin and starts taking off her clothes. I went through with it and tell #1 she was better than her cousin even though she wasn't. She ended up giving me that hickey that I did not want, and no band-aid was large enough to cover up my shame. I'm I was bartending and told her older, not very attractive woman I'd go home with her if she tipped me well. I was 22. She was easily in her mid to late 40s, and she tipped me and the other bartender $200. I did as promised. 19-year-old me pulled the 40-ish-year-old player/coach of the local women's football, soccer team purely because she had on a pair of dark red leather trousers. After a fairly long session with my hands practically glued to her, she asked me to come back to hers. I bluntly told her I'd only do that if she'd sit on my face whilst wearing them. She agreed. Went back to hers, had sex a couple of times, and each time she brought me back to attention by sitting on my face. Still see her and her now husband around town fairly regularly. Sitting alone in a McDonald's at 3 AM in the morning because that's the kind of lonely guy I was. In comes a party chick in a tight mini dress and slutty makeup, walking barefoot with heels in her hands. She comes up and asks if I had any chicken nuggets. I reply no, but I'll buy her some if she wants. 30 minutes later we're out back and she's got my in her mouth, stopping occasionally to eat a chicken nugget. Ever had a blowjob from a girl eating chicken nuggets? Feels weird, man. But weird. Did anal sex with a girl I met on Adult Friend Finder. Pics did not match. Still smashed anyway. My brain said abort, but my wiener said stay. 3 out of 10 would not recommend. After I left my husband, I was struggling to get by financially, and an older man in his 60s offered me $300 to have sex with him. Despite the nearly 38-year difference in age, he was pretty handsome, and I hadn't had sex in months, so I agreed. The sex was amazing, and I could afford rent that month. Had a hookup with a girl from a pre-Facebook social media site. Later that same day I had a threesome planned with one of my best friends and a girlfriend that really wanted to get reamed by 2 dudes. I felt really slutty. In college I was making out with a girl who I was friends with on the way back from the bar to her place, and I was planning on hooking up with her that night. Back at her house there are about 10 of us hanging out, and I'm sitting on the couch with my arm around her shoulders. I get a text from one of the other girls who lives there and who had gone to her computer to order Jimmy John's for everyone that says come upstairs. So I did. I walk into her room, she closes her laptop and says we have 15 minutes before Jimmy John's gets here. I said okay, and we had sex. Sorry, Katie. Not sex, but kissing with a girl I didn't know on a flight 1 hour after the plane took off. I still don't know why it happened exactly as we couldn't even understand each other. She could only speak a few words of English, but it happened. I suppose we were both a bit desperate. At least I was, as I didn't have anything for many years at that time. When I was in college, I worked at a day spa and did massage. As a guy, I only massaged women, but there was nothing I wouldn't do for a nice tip. Anything a woman asked me to do, or directed my hand to do, I did. Anyway, a customer asked about me making a house call and offered me cash to make it. She was 60 plus and I was 20. The slutty part was that she offered me $30. So I had sex with a grandma for $30. Not my finest moment. Met a chick from back in the AOL days at a public park. Was f***ing her in the ass, I mean dropping back a foot, ramming it, and she's loving it. It was around dusk, and off in the distance I notice a man about 30 to 40 yards away jacking it, so I stop. She starts asking why I stopped, and reaching back trying to pull me back in, and I'm like there's some dude watching, and she goes it's okay, it's my husband, he likes to watch, don't stop. I finished. Met a guy on Tinder, and invited him over. 20 minutes later, he ended up leaving mid-6, after admitting he had a girlfriend. Whoops. I pulled a girl in town one night and ended up back at hers till like 6 the next day. While I was at here I got a match, then a message on Tinder from another girl. Her message was, I bet that jumper would look good on me cooking you breakfast in the morning. I was at the next girl's about 2 hours later. Went abroad, matched a guy from Tinder, invited him to my AirB and slept with him all in the same day. Next day did the same thing with another Tinder match. The day after that, slept with the first guy again. It was a good trip. Went to a strip club with a couple friends on one of their 21st birthdays. I'm getting a lap dance, which turned into 3 songs, and I mentioned something along the lines of I'm broke, and I don't think I can get any more dances. She said just pay me whatever you can or something to that effect. 1 or 2 songs later she says I really want to f*** you. I replied I really want to f*** you too. She reaches into my basketball shorts, yeah, I'm a classy gentleman club attendee, pulls out my dick, moves her panties to the side and slides me inside her. I had been drinking, but I was not drunk. Immediately following the thought of how good that felt were thoughts of being inside of a stripper without a condom. Also the fact that we really were not very hidden at all. This was on a couch along a back wall. It was very dark, but still, people were walking past occasionally and sitting nearby. It was pretty uncomfortable, but a huge turn on at the same time. I got tested the following Monday and again a year later because they said it might be too early to test for some things. For a few weeks, every time I peed, any sort of abnormality would freak me out. Was on an internship in Germany and went to a rural part north of Munich that a female friend invited me to. It was a barn festival with about 100 locals, including the girl that brought me, myself and a random cute blonde Austrian girl. Names get tossed around, I forget all of them. While completely wasted on wheat beer, I walked with the Austrian girl around the perimeter of town. Made it about 2 blocks before making out with her in some random person's driveway. This soon progressed to the point where I was up exploring the area between her thighs with both our pants around our ankles, trying to get it on in the middle of a stone driveway. You'd think it would have a happy ending, but like a sitcom, the owners pulled in the driveway just as we were about to perform and honked their horn. I didn't speak German, they didn't speak English. We awkwardly put our clothes on and wandered off, where I promptly threw up behind a van. Then I lost her and never saw her again, or even remembered her name to ask about her. Shame, because we really hit it off before the alcohol hit me. This probably also doubles as a life pro tip. What I do when the bartender cuts me off for being too drunk or running out of money is I camp out in the bathroom and give blowjobs for drinks. I blow a guy and he is supposed to get me a drink. Granted only usually a third of them follow through, but I still get a lot of drinks. I had sex in a car in the high school parking lot. When I was an adult, we threw the used condom on the ground afterwards. I still feel guilty about that. Who wants to find a used condom when they get out of their car to go to school? Was with my boyfriend at a bar. He was talking to two guys who I thought were pretty cute. One of them called me hot. My boyfriend told them my was the prettiest part about me, and I was super tight too. One thing led to another, and they were paying my boyfriend $20 each to see just how tight I was. So we went to a booth, and each guy got to pull my skirt up, pull my panties to the side, and put their fingers in me. It didn't even really hit me until we were walking home just how slutty it was to have two complete strangers finger me in public for money. One time while my college dormmate was away for a weekend, I fucked a girl in his bed. I didn't mean to, we were just using it as a couch to watch a movie when she started touching me. Washed everything on the bed twice and put it back immediately after. The next day he yelled at me for an hour because the comforter was pushed to the end of the bed. I don't want to imagine what would have happened if he knew everything that happened there. Still feel bad about that. Definitely one of the grosser things I've done. I had a girlfriend was into going out and finding another girl to go with us. One night we were in the city and met a pretty blonde who was down for it. Seeing how were we away though, we hoped over to a nearby, rather glitzy hotel. As I was checking in, the woman at the counter asked will there be 3 people in the room? I follow her eyes back to the 2 women waiting here in lobby and said, unless we want to make it 4. She laughed nervously and showed up at the room at about 1 AM.